The night the Ozarks learned to hum, the fog rolled off Bull Shoals Lake like a living thing. It was thick, clinging to the ground, swallowing the sounds of the night. Deep in the backwoods, where the ancient pines lean close and whisper secrets to each other, and the cicadas keep a steady, rhythmic beat, a new sound fell from the sky. It wasn't thunder. It wasn't an airplane. It was clean, impossible, almost mathematical in its perfection. Between the stars and the rustling treetops, a silver craft unfolded itself, silent as a held breath. From it stepped a figure, a being the likes of which the Ozarks had never seen. Let's call him Zero Antarctica. He was a space alien, a virtuoso whose skin shimmered like frostbitten vinyl records under a dim light. His fingers were long and elegant, and when he moved them, he seemed to bend gravity itself, the way a master musician bends the strings of an instrument. And speaking of instruments, his wasn't a guitar or a synth or anything you could name. It was something older, something more profound. It was a resonance engine, a device that translated pure thought directly into melody. Zero Antarctica had traveled across galaxies because he'd heard a curious rumor about this little blue planet. He'd heard that Earth still believed music was only sound. He was here to show us it was so much more. At that very moment, from a busted-up shack near the lake, a rusted, forgotten radio crackled to life. A voice, warped and echoing like it had to travel through 6 feet of dirt just to reach you, slithered through the speaker. You're tuned to WBUL, broadcasting live from the other side of the veil. The Bull Shoals Boogie Man was back on the air. He was a local legend, a DJ who died tangled in his own antenna wire decades ago. But death, it turned out, hadn't dulled his taste for good tunes. Now, a phantom of the airwaves, he spun ghost frequencies, phantom beats that leaked out of forgotten AM bands. Every knob he turned on his spectral console seemed to open a thin place, a tier between our world and somewhere else. Tonight, he felt something new crackling in the static, something decidedly off-world. And then, a third player entered the scene. Down the long gravel road, kicking up dust with every step, came a man with a beat-up acoustic guitar slung over his shoulder. His boots were worn, his beard was wild, but his eyes were sharp, missing nothing. Folks around here just called him the hillbilly guitar dude, but he was more than that. He was a true troubadour, a collector of stories, a singer of things that didn't want to be remembered. He'd been following the ghost radio's voice for miles, every strange chord it played, tugging at his ribs, pulling him forward. They all met in a clearing by the lake, the 3 of them. The alien, the ghost, and the troubadour. A gathering that defied all logic. Zero Antarctica, the visitor from the stars, struck the first note. It wasn't a sound you hear with your ears, so much as feel in your soul. It was the sound of starlight hitting still water, a chord of pure crystalline beauty that hung in the thick Ozark air. From his ethereal radio shack, the boogeyman heard it. He latched on to that celestial tone and layered it with a bass line made of whispers and old moonshine regrets. He broadcast it straight from the spirit world, a rhythm track of pure haunting memory. The troubadour, the hillbilly guitar dude, stood there for a beat, his head cocked, listening, and a slow smile spread across his face. He answered with the raw, honest voice of his steel strings and a gravel-throated verse about floods that washed away towns and people who vanished but never truly left. He sang the soul of the hills. It was a jam session for the ages. The alien's cosmic melody, the ghost's spectral beat, and the human's earthy, heartfelt story. The woods themselves seemed to lean in, listening. Time slipped sideways. The surface of Bull Shoals Lake didn't reflect the stars we know, but constellations from a sky humans had never seen. And in the shadows between the trees, ghosts danced barefoot in the fallen leaves, swaying to a rhythm that connected worlds. High above, passing satellites paused in their orbits, their sensors picking up an anomaly a song that was both impossible and undeniable. For one single impossible hour, Bull Shoals, Arkansas, became the center of the entire universe. A place where past, present, and future, where the living, the dead, and the alien all came together to make music. It was a song that told the story of everything for everyone. And then, as suddenly as it began, it ended. The final note hung in the air, a perfect shimmering silence. The alien, Zero Antarctica, folded himself and his silver craft back into the stars, vanishing without a trace. The ghost radio hissed into static, the boogeyman's broadcast over for the night. And the troubadour, the hillbilly guitar dude, slung his guitar back over his shoulder and walked on down the dark road, carrying the story and the song in his very bones. The Ozarks fell quiet again, the secret of the night held tight by the fog and the pines. But the story remains. They say that sometimes, late at night, if you're driving near the lake and the fog is thick enough, you can still hear it. If you tune your car radio dial just right, past the static and the faint whispers of distant stations, you might just pick it up. A broadcast from nowhere. A song meant for everything. Thanks for watching. If you love stories that blur the line between myth and reality, make sure to like this video and subscribe to the channel. You never know what strange tunes we'll uncover next.